Hey, what's good, y'all? It's your boy Micah J, and I'm back again with another video, and today I'll be presenting my favorite comfort movies. Now, some of y'all will be asking me, hey Micah, what is this comfort movie you say? It's usually defined as a film that is comfortable to watch over and over again. The type of movies that make you relieved of your stress, movies that you can put on whenever you're having a bad day, movies that you can watch on like a rainy day Sunday, and even movies that kind of give you like a therapeutic vibe. Now, just to be clear, comfort movies don't always have to be particularly fun to watch, but yet films that just kind of give you like a sense of excitement or thrill every time you watch it. So without wasting any time, let's get straight to the list. One of my favorite foreign films of all time, Ichimama Tumbian, is a movie that has always been so comforting for me to watch, mainly due to the fact that it's a movie that makes you discover things about yourself that you've never known before. The movie is set in Mexico that follows two teenage best buddies, Julio and Tinoch, who embark on a road trip with a slightly older attractive woman named Luisa. During the road trip, all three characters learn a thing or two about life, friendship, sexuality, and most importantly, about each other. The most engaging aspect of this film is for its frank depiction of sex, because it's a movie that does feature a lot of explicit scenes, but it presents it in a way that feels so authentic rather than presenting it in the sake for shock factor. The film also has such an excellent way of commenting on the political issues and the economic realities happening in present-day Mexico. Despite some aspects of this film being a bit depressing, Ichimama Tumbian is such a brilliant road trip movie that is generally fun, adventurous, and it's one of Alfonso Cuarón's finest works of his career. From the director of The Tree of Life, Terrence Malick, Days of Heaven is one of the most visually gorgeous movies I've ever came across. It's a film so mesmerizing and so captivating to look at for its dazzling cinematography, while also containing narration that comes off so relaxed and very convincing. It incorporates themes such as spirituality and holiness into America's mythology, often flirting with the fantastical despite its humanist narrative. It's always such a delight watching Days of Heaven, as it truly feels like I'm watching a landscape painting to tell me a story, and overall it's such a sublime film that always keeps me fully immersed throughout the entire runtime. Throughout my time in grade school, me and my sisters always used to watch a lot of chick flicks. Whether if it was Pretty Woman, Cheetah Girls, The Princess Diaries, Legally Blonde, or 10 Things I Hate About You, it was just always nothing but chick flicks. While some of them have aged poorly upon rewatching these throughout my 24-year-old eyes, there are a few of them that have aged well like a fine glass of red wine, including the 2004 cult classic 13 Going on 30. The movie follows Jennifer Garner, who plays Jenna Rink, a 13-year-old girl who jumps forward in time in 2004 after making a wish on her birthday to be 30, flirty, and thriving. Jenna initially accepts her wish coming true, but then she discovers that the life at 30 wasn't as glamorous as the way she intended it to be. She may have got what she wanted, but not the way she envisioned it. Waking up the next morning as her 30-year-old self, with having the chance to rewrite her past, Jenna decides to set out to put her life back in order and to make up for her past mistakes. Most specifically when it comes to patching things up with her childhood bestie Maddie, played by Mark Ruffalo. 13 Going on 30 is a movie that is so thoroughly charming as it teaches you a lesson of trying not to lose sight of your happiness. While it's totally fine to have some goals and aspirations that change over time, but to make sure that you don't do it at the expense of changing who you truly are to achieve those goals. Because when you achieve those aspirations on the path of malice and deceit, you'll look back in your life with deep regret. If you were to ask me what I consider to be a pure adrenaline rush of a film, it'd be the 1998 German cult classic Run Lola Run, a movie that's so innovative and compelling. Director Tom Tykwer delivered a pulse-pounding thriller that explores the concept of fate through three parallel storylines, each influenced by small decisions. The movie is high energy from start to finish, and I can feel like the sense of dread and stress that the character Lola feels with each passing round, creating a gripping and visually striking experience. The runtime of Run Lola Run may be only an hour and 20 minutes, but the runtime works to the film's favor due to its brilliant storytelling format, as it legit feels like an actual video game. Run Lola Run is a high-octane cinematic journey that challenges destiny, which goes to show you that you never know when death will be coming for you. Come on, do I really have to explain why Mean Girls is on my list of favorite comfort films? It's a movie that is just iconic in every sense and every aspect, from the superb writing, the spot-on humor, and the characters. I could honestly keep going on forever, but simply put, it's just a rewatchable classic that'll never get old. Enough said. One of the best movies of the Disney revival era, Tangled is such a well put together movie that I don't feel like gets the proper love it deserves, because it's a film that has a little something for everyone, and if you ask me, way better than Frozen. It's the classic story of Rapunzel that has been given a slightly more modern take, and it is done to perfection, most specifically the romance that blossoms between her and Flynn Rider, a character whom initially starts off as a criminal, but eventually experiences an immense amount of growth throughout the story, and the progression of his relationship with Rapunzel is one of the most well executed in Disney history. In addition, Tangled also has such a thoroughly strong villain in Mother Gothel, whom is driven by her narcissism, notably her fear of aging, which makes her such a compelling antagonist. Overall, Tangled is a film that has it all, from the emotional moments to the fantastic humor, and provided by an array of superb supporting characters. It's such a gem. It's hard to think of a movie that's cooler than the 2001 heist film Ocean's 11, directed by Steven Soderbergh, starring an ensemble cast of A-list actors including the likes of George Clooney, Brad Pitt, Julia Roberts, Matt Damon, and Andy Garcia. The film tells the story of Danny Ocean, who puts together a team of criminals in order to rob 3 Las Vegas casinos belonging to his ex-wife's new man. As well as making him a rich man, he hopes that the heist will help him win back the love of his life. Stylish, slick, and fast-paced, Ocean's 11 is just one of the most engaging and most rewatchable movies for me, as it's such a crowd pleaser that just gets almost everything right, from the witty humor to the sharp editing to the excellent performances of the cast. Like, it just almost gets nothing wrong for me. Sometimes stress can leave one needing a resurgence and something to rely on, and for me, that has to be Ocean's 11. With an assured direction, clever twists, and a superb cast of A-list Hollywood movie stars, it's the safe pair of hands we all need when life gets a bit too much. Oh goody, another Steven Soderbergh movie on my list of comfort movies. As somebody who's always been a huge lover of underdog stories, or, people fighting against the system to fight for what they believe in, Brockovich is a movie that instantly clicked with me, as it tells a real-life story in a way that feels so engaging and perhaps a little bit more gritty than your typical average Hollywood movie. This is an empowering story of courage, as Julia Roberts gives a career-defining performance as a legal activist who fights for the rights of the residents who have been poisoned throughout their town's water supply due to the negligence from a large corporation. It's like a true David versus Goliath tale, as we watch Erin Brockovich overcome all the odds to achieve justice while also trying to expose the people who were responsible. At the same time, Brockovich is a character who is also very relatable due to her being a single mother who is endlessly trying to provide for her 3 children. Erin Brockovich is easy to watch, it's well acted, and perhaps even inspiring, being an overall high quality film and perhaps possibly the greatest work of Julia Roberts' career. Everybody always has something that brings them serenity, and when it comes to A24, they are the film studio that always do it for me, because they have been responsible for producing some of the best movies of the century. When it comes to American Honey, you already know that is absolutely my all-time favorite A24 movie. But when it came to comforting movies, I decided to go with something a little different, and I decided to go with my second favorite A24 movie, The Florida Project, directed by Sean Baker. The Florida Project is a vivid tour de force film, which brings with it an illustration new joie de vivre to the essence of youth, presenting a poignant portrait of childhood as lovingly glimpsed through the eyes of Moni, a mischievous 6-year-old being raised by her young mother who struggles to meet ends meet during summer vacation. It's such a beautiful yet heartbreaking commentary on poverty in America that takes up one of the biggest tourist destinations in the country that is told through the eyes of a child. But even with that, the movie feels like such an experience because the way it takes us on a ride with Moni and her 2 best friends, whom all 3 always try to see the best in everything despite the fact of what they're seeing is the downside of American life. The movie has such a remarkable demonstration of American culture, as it's colorful and empathetic, as it never judges the characters but offering real criticisms of the system that has led them to being in the situation that they're in. It features excellent performances from child actors, along with Willem Dafoe, who serves as the motel's manager, who serves somewhat of like a warm father figure, giving a career best showing here. Even with some of the heartbreaking aspects, The Florida Project is an utter joy, a celebration of aspiration, and a spectacle that is a well-directed piece of true-to-life drama. There are tons of reasons why Heather has remained such a relevant classic for the past 35 years, mainly due to the fact how it takes a scathing look at the high school life. While most 80s coming-of-age movies were a lot more colorful, it completely avoided the John Hughes high school formula by tackling themes like teen suicide, prejudice, and conformity. This dark comedy classic follows Winona Ryder as Veronica Sawyer, a student who's a part of a very popular clique along with 4 girls called the Heathers. As Veronica grows to miss her old life when she wasn't popular, she completely leaves the Heathers as she grows tired of their cruel behavior, as she comes across a mysterious new kid, JD, played by Christian Slater. As soon as Veronica meets JD, they immediately fall in love with each other and become an inseparable couple. And while things seem to be going well for them at first, Veronica comes to realize that JD is a psychopath, as the two would embark on like having a Bonnie and Clyde-esque adventure of going on a spree of killing off Westburg's most popular students. Not only does Heathers remain one of the greatest coming-of-age movies of all time, it's also one of the best dark comedies of all time, not just because of the way how it brilliantly demonstrates how shitty we are as human beings and as a society when it comes to not taking serious things like mental health seriously, but also teaching you life lessons like how you shouldn't get wrapped up in malicious fantasy. And while sure there's nothing wrong with having hate towards another human being, it's just never okay to kill, even if you like deeply despise that person with every fiber of your being. And also it kind of makes you aware of be careful who you associate yourself with or who you end up dating in the future. And while sure there's nothing wrong with meeting new people and meeting new faces, you might want to be careful who that specific person is. I mean, come on, there was no way, and I repeat, there was no way I was gonna make a list of my favorite comfort films without including a Studio Ghibli movie on the list. Like seriously, it just was not gonna happen. While I strongly considered going with The Boy and the Heron, which has recently become one of my favorite movies of all time, I ultimately decided to go with the 2004 movie Howl's Moving Castle. Based off the 1986 novel of the same name, the film follows a young woman named Sophie who comes across a very mysterious wizard named Howl, who lives in a very peculiar castle that moves. As the movie progresses, the relationship between Howl and Sophie slowly blossoms, only for a jealous evil queen to cast a spell on Sophie, which turns her into a 90-year-old woman. Determined to break the curse, this causes Howl to go on an adventure with his flying castle to stop the evil witch, while also helping Sophie turn her back into her younger self again. Howl's Moving Castle is a movie that tackles a wide range of subjects and themes like anti-war, growing old, feminism, and most importantly, self-love, and the fact that Hayao Miyazaki can excellently explore all of these themes all at once is a true testament to his brilliance. A beautiful story which reveals what love is all about. Howl's Moving Castle is such a true masterpiece of animation. Blue Velvet is a movie that I have been rewatching over and over again frequently, and for some reason I just can't get enough of it. It's always such a delight for me to watch any of David Lynch's movies because I can't help but just be captivated for how weirdly confusing they are. But I feel like that's kind of the beauty of it, because every great director always needs like a style or a trademark that makes them stand out. Blue Velvet was such a turning point for David Lynch's career, as it marked the emphasis on ambiguous psychological character studies. In the grand scheme of Lynch's work, Blue Velvet has some quintessential elements of surrealism that will make you wonder, but everything we can deduce with symbols relating back to the themes of voyeurism and sexual obsession. The characters in the movie expose the hidden desires and motives of seemingly ordinary people, presenting the duality of human nature. In other words, Blue Velvet is a neo-noir masterpiece that goes to show you that everything is not what it seems to be. We're always going to need those comedies that give us a good laugh whenever we're having a shitty day or whenever we're in a foul mood. And for me personally, that's when I always turn on the 1994 hit comedy classic Dumb and Dumber, directed by the Farley brothers. Dumb and Dumber is a movie that magnificently combines screwball comedy, criminal intrigue, and even hopeful romance into a wholly unique comedic package. Not to mention the remarkable chemistry between Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels, who made such a perfect match because of the way they play off each other so well. The charm of this film lies in the delightful ignorance of best buddies Lloyd and Harry, whose personality simply doesn't allow for a light bulb moment. With having a plot that is very stupid, yet very lighthearted and funny, as two best buddies get caught up in a kidnapping heist without even knowing that they're literally being hunted down by not just killers, but also cops. Dumb and Dumber is just a movie that I could rewatch endlessly until the end of time because of how mindless the plot is and how great Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels are as a pair. Vincent Gallo's Buffalo 66 is a raw and unconventional drama about a troubled man, brilliantly portrayed by Gallo himself, seeking redemption and connection. Christina Ricci delivers a standout supporting performance as the character Layla, a ballet dancer whom Gallo's character Billy Brown kidnaps. Despite the abduction, Layla eventually falls for Billy, serving as the character's hope of seeking redemption. Despite the character of Billy Brown coming off as a repulsive douchebag, he eventually learns how to grow a heart throughout the entirety of the film, especially with his relationship with Layla, which goes to show you that sometimes you're nobody until somebody truly loves you. Buffalo 66 is a movie that has always stuck with me, as I can relate to a lot as somebody who's dealt with loneliness or broken families. And with the film's raw emotion, unique style, the cinematography, the dialogue, and the compelling characters, it creates such a deeply human experience that makes this such a remarkable indie film. Now, for those who've been following my channel for quite some time should know that this is unquestionably my favorite romance movie of all time. A rare remake that surpasses its source material, Bradley Cooper's A Star Is Born is such a beautiful exploration of love, music, and chasing your dreams. The film has such an inspiring soundtrack full of great songs, a generous pace, and two immeasurably remarkable performances from Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga. The chemistry between Gaga and Cooper was just absolutely outstanding, as their respective characters Jackson and Ally Main organically fall for each other, as it came off so believable, showcasing the beauty but also the vulnerabilities of their relationship. Like, seriously, those two were so great together that if they were a real life couple, I would be fully convinced. The movie feels like a genuine love letter to the entertainment industry, just as much as it is a vicious screed against it, portraying the whole environment as an exploitive den of selfish behavior and lifelong human sacrifice. Not to mention the heartbreaking twist ending, which I won't spoil it for you if you haven't seen it, but it also goes to show you how fame can have a negative effect on a person's well-being. A Star Is Born can be depressing to watch, but yet it's also heartwarming, as it has two fantastic lead performances, superb music numbers, and a story about falling in love that always makes this such a pure delight for me to watch. Ah yes, Goodwill Hunting. The Oscar-winning drama that turned childhood buddies Matt Damon and Ben Affleck into household names in Hollywood that has stood the test of time. With the film's screenplay being written by both Affleck and Damon when they were in their early 20s, Goodwill Hunting is such an emotional roller coaster of a movie. Nevertheless, it's an incredibly heartwarming watch that makes the ideal complement to a night of self-care. The film is about human compassion, camaraderie, family, and overcoming difficult circumstances. You have Matt Damon as an incredibly troubled janitor who's incredibly gifted at mathematics, as he tries to find a direction in his life and overcome his trauma with the help of a respected psychologist named Sean McGuire, played by the late great Robin Williams, who takes notice of his talent and makes a deal with him to help him overcome his trauma and his legal issues. A film all about grief, identity, and friendship, Goodwill Hunting never fails to pull at my heartstrings, but the emotion exhibited throughout the film may be exactly what I need to relieve of my stress. And saving the best for last, the ultimate comfort movie for me is the 2005 iteration of Pride and Prejudice. Although I do understand the argument that people make when they say that the 1995 miniseries was more faithful to the source material, but for me, Joe Wright's 2005 version felt like a more beautifully rendered adaptation with like a few slight changes, all designed to heighten the romance. It has like a lot more warmth and charm to it to complement the sizzling chemistry between Keira Knightley and Matthew McFadden. While Keira Knightley is universally known as Elizabeth Swann from the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, Pride and Prejudice is her signature role, as she gives such a brilliant performance as Elizabeth Bennet, perfectly embodying the character's strong will and intelligence. As for Matthew McFadden, he's without a doubt the definitive Mr. Darcy, as he perfectly encapsulated the character's endearing yet very socially awkward nature, as he's very hesitant of falling for women who's beneath his class. Coming from a guy like me who's never considered myself the biggest lover of period dramas, this modern take of the classic novel of Pride and Prejudice will always resonate with me, as I consider it the best movie that has the haters turn lovers trope that features breathtaking cinematography, superb writing, and amazing acting from a star-studded cast.